Hey, what's up, friend? Are you a mama who wants to stop just getting by? Maybe you're motivated to grow yourself in your motherhood, your marriage, and you want it to bear fruit. Or maybe you want to stop letting the mom guilt, the shame, the limiting beliefs, and lies. Amen. That's me right there, sister. And start stepping into the woman and the truth that God has created you to be. While we're juggling all the things, right? Nursing a baby, battling laundry, trying to keep it together, and a spicy marriage. But where the heck do we start? Hey friend, you are in the right place. I am here to hold your hand through this journey because I believe when you're ready to take control of your life, beat the limiting excuses, and step into the woman God created you to be, you can not only survive, but you can thrive. But you're gonna have to show up for yourself. It's time for me to tough love your way through taking self-care seriously, investing and growing in your marriage, and owning your motherhood, and getting rid of those excuses because the glory is in the journey. It's in the mess. In this podcast, you'll find navigating mom guilt, mindset, and marriage strategies, and everything in between, with no fluff and lots of fun. Let's go. Hey sis, what's up? If you are new here, I'm so glad you're listening into the So She Girls podcast, formerly known as It Takes a Village. And a long time ago, if you're an OG listener, today's Eden. So I just wanted to throw that out there in case you're going back and listening to all these episodes that I've done. There's over, 200 episodes now, over 300 episodes, or almost 300 episodes. So when you go back and listen, those old intros are there. You're in the right place. Your girl has just been on a journey, okay? And so today we're going to go through another journey. We want to keep growing together, okay? That is what this podcast is about, is becoming better versions of ourselves. Like, you don't need to be somebody else. You don't need to be into somebody new. You just want to become the best version of you. And so today I specifically want to speak towards us in relationships. And something that I struggled with for a long time was feeling like when things were good, you made it, right? And that was it. It's like you train. Like, you're running, you're losing weight, and you're like, okay, done. Like, I made it. I lost that 20 pounds. I'm going to eat the cheeseburgers. I'm going to go back to my old lifestyle. I'm going to stop working out. Like, because I made it, right? Like, I'm here. This is what I wanted. Why do I need to do anything else? Well, we all know that that's not true, right? Like, if we want to change our body, then, we want to lose those 20 pounds, 10 pounds, whatever. We want to lean up. We want to get muscle. We want to get abs. Then, like, once we hit that spot, like, your journey doesn't stop there. The work doesn't stop there. You have to continuously keep going, right, to maintain those abs. Like, if you want a six-pack, you got to maintain it, girl. Like, you can't just go out willy-nilly and eat all the french fries after you put in all that work, right? You're going to lose it. You're going to lose it, okay? And so I wanted to say that is the same thing in regards to relationships. Like, we feel like we get in these, these really, really good seasons where we're connecting and we're vibing and we feel like our intimacy is at its utmost high. And, either our husbands are pursuing us or we're pursuing them. And it's just like this really sweet, season, right? And then all of a sudden it stops. And we feel like we're in the same place that we were months ago when we were unhappy. We thought we were, weren't going to make it, whatever. You had doubts. You were thinking all these thoughts and you were confused and you were frustrated and you were struggling and you weren't connecting. You weren't having intimate moments. And it just felt like you were struggling, right? You were on the struggle bus. And then you're like, okay, what happened? Because we were so happy like a week ago, yesterday, 2 days ago, and then now we're back in this place again. And it's because you don't reap the benefits of the seeds you don't sow. And you have to constantly be sowing seeds, right? Like, you don't keep a car and then you're like, okay, good luck, car. I hope you do well, like, look new, smell nice, run fast, run clean, do all these things. But, like, I already bought you, so you're going to have to handle the rest, right? No, wrong. We know that we have to take it to go get oil change. We have to rotate the tires. We have to wash it. We have to vacuum it because the inside gets janky, right? Toddlers throw goldfish everywhere and there are crumbs in every stinking corner that you can imagine, right? The same with our marriage, right? Especially when you throw kids, there are goldfish everywhere, okay? There are crumbs everywhere. And kids get in between you and your marriage, right? Like, it gets messy. And so we have to take our marriage to the cleaners. We have to wash it. We have to change the oil. We have to change our tires, right? And so that looks like speaking their love language every day, trying, even when it's against the grain. For me, this is something that I speak about until I've been blue in the face about how I suck at serving my husband's love language. And I honestly don't say that anymore because I feel like as years have gone by, I have gotten better at it. And in my head, it's constant me going touch his face, grab his hand, especially when we're being intimate. Like, you would think that would be like a natural, right? You'd be like, obviously you're gonna, no, like for me, it's hard, even in intimate moments, for me to reach out and touch somebody, because that's not just part of who I am. That's not how I grew up. Like, so intimate touch is very hard for me. And so constantly when I first was like, okay, this is serious. He needs to know that I love him. This is how he feels connected to me. This is how he feels loved by me. This is how he feels security through me. Is this love language, and it matters to him. And so like I had to go against my grain and feel stupid, feel awkward every single day when I first started this, and tell myself, I literally had a voice in my head, touch his hand, right? Like it was myself telling myself, grab his hand, touches, or seeing and then focusing on when is an opportunity that I can do that and seek out to do that love language, right? So like some of these things are not going to feel natural. Some of them are not going to come instinctually. We have to try, we have to reach out, and it's continuously, and then it gets easier and easier. That's the good news. Right now, I don't hear that voice, like I'm not talking to myself. And sometimes I still do, okay? Because sometimes like I get in my head or I'm just not even thinking because it's still not a natural instinct. And so I still have to be like, hey, you should probably touch his face right now. Like you should probably grab his hand right now, or whatever. And so I think that we get in those seasons of marriage where, oh my gosh, it's really great. Like, especially after a really tiring season. Here's where it shows up. Here's where it's sneaky, is because when we go through a really hard season in our relationships, and I think this applies to literally almost any relationship, right? Like if you want a relationship to be fruitful and just have great connection and bear fruit and just it be a beautiful blessing for you and the other person involved, like this applies. And so if you are not putting in the time, and like I said, let me scoot back to when I was saying, like when you have a rough time or when your marriage is going through hell, right? Like when you feel like it's falling apart, the house is on fire, you don't know what is going to happen, right? And then you express that to your partner and they're like, oh my gosh, like we need to do something, right? Usually it's somebody who feels like they've disconnected, right? And so that person re-engages because they don't want to lose you, or you don't want to lose them. You're re-engaging, right? Because you're fearful of what could happen. So all of a sudden you are putting in the most energy, you're putting in the most focus, you're doing the most, you're being the most, you're trying the most, right? And then you feel like you guys are in the sweet spot. So you've gotten there. Hey, we're back to normal, right? We're all good now. And then you back off. That is a mistake that most of us make, is that once we feel like we've made it, then we back off because we feel like, oh, things are good. Things are great now. Like, I don't need to put in the effort anymore. Like, I'm going to back off. Wrong. That is the wrong thing to do. That is the most beneficial thing to do in these moments. You got to keep going, because soon enough, after a season of blessing, there's going to be a season of hardship, and you're going to have wanted to have sown those seeds for when you needed those sprouts to be there. Right? Like, we're going to want our spouses to be there for us to fall back on, to have security that this is what we can rely on. This is our safe place. If everything else falls apart around us, like, we have this thing, us together. It's magic. You can't break us. The world could be crumbling apart around us, and we are solid on, we are rock solid on firm ground, right? But if you don't do those things, if you feel like, hey, I've made it, just like when we work out and we've gotten those abs, we've gotten that six pack, and then we step back, we stop going to the gym. We stop being around people that motivate us. We stop being around people that we work out with that encourage us to work out more. We stop running, we stop walking, we stop eating the right foods, we stop taking the right vitamins, we stop, doing all the XYZ things that we need to do for our body to be, have those six pack abs or to whatever, right? Then it falls off. Then you're like, whoa, there's the love handles, there's a muffin, like, right? Like all the things, XYZ, right? And that's because we back off once we feel like we've gotten there. So the same thing it is with marriage. And I want to encourage you, if you feel like you're in the season of, man, we've made it, this is so sweet, this is so good, I want you to still press in. I want you to still invest in your marriage, still keep pouring in, because what is the worst thing that could happen if you continuously pour into a good marriage? Nothing. It becomes better and better and better, and it only gets stronger, it only goes deeper, it only goes more committed, more connected, more like, what could you possibly not want in that scenario? Nothing. But what is the worst thing that can happen if you step back because you feel comfortable, because you feel like you've made it, because you feel like, oh, like my work here is done? Is the feeling starts to taper off. The connection starts to taper off. The intimacy starts to taper off. The miscommunication starts, ramping up. The arguments start ramping up. The disconnection starts ramping up. The fill in the blank. It just gets worse and worse and worse. And then you're back at step one of what do we do? How do we do this? And you're yo-yoing back and forth between like, I'm gonna go all in, and then I've made it, so I'm gonna back off. And I'm gonna go all in, and then I've made it, and so I'm gonna back off, right? Because we cannot sustain that kind of yo-yo relationship, right? Like it's exhausting because you don't know what's here or there. You don't know what to expect. Are they going to put in the work? Are they not? Are we going to survive? Are we going to make it? Are we not? And you don't have that sense of continuous flourishing and growth and bearing fruit in your marriage, which we are called to do, honestly. And as I like to tell you guys, why would you settle for less? If you know that you have the ability to have a great marriage, that you guys have these hard conversations, don't avoid them, because like, what does that do for us but only prolong the inevitable of now our house is burning and we can't put out the fire and we can't build with the beams that are left. But if you are serious and you see the fire and you're like, we got to put these flames out, we got to build this house back, and we're going to make it stronger than ever. And our house may have a little, almost like fuse, or like, what is it, like sparks of like, whoa, red, like alert, we need to pay attention to this, or we could start a fire, right? Not a good fire, right? Like fires in the bedroom, okay. Fires on your house, no. Right? Like you're not to say that when you continuously pour into your marriage and your relationship, you're not going to have hard times, you're not going to have miscommunication or like disagreements, because those are going to be there. But like what a great place to be if you have a disagreement and you still feel like your marriage is rock solid. So if you are in a season of that sweet spot, keep pouring into it. Keep watering the grass. Keep sowing the seeds. Whatever analogy you want to use, keep pouring it in, because nothing but good can come from you investing in your marriage and growing. Because not only are you guys going to grow as a couple, but you're going to find that you're growing as a human being, as a person, as a woman. And that is going to be like the most, I can't even put into words how great it is, how much of a blessing. Like if I was to tell myself what I would be feeling, the confidence that I would have, all the emotions, like all the knowledge, all the security, all the confidence, like all these things. And I'm not even 100% there yet. Like I have a lot of work to do. And I already cannot believe what I have been missing out on because of this lack of work. And it wasn't because of a lack of not wanting to. Sometimes it's a lack of like not knowing. And so when I share you guys some of these things, it's because I didn't know, right? Like I wasn't taught these things. And then what is only problematic is when we have something that we know and then we don't act on it. So now that you know, even if it was before me telling you, this is your wake up call to act on it. Because not only do you know that you should, probably have already, is that now you hear me saying, girl, get up. You got to start pouring into your marriage. And if it's not you, if you feel like you're giving your all, you're giving your 100% every day, and it's your spouse, then you have to have those conversations. Like we are so avoidant and tiptoey around these hard conversations because we don't want to have conflict. We don't want to have that conversation. We don't want to have that hour fight again, right? But like, what is the worst thing that could happen? Well, you have that argument again, right? And you express your feelings, but when you don't, then nothing can happen. Like no opportunity can be made for change. No opportunity can be made for growth. No opportunity can be made for healing. And 5 years down the road, you're not going to have a marriage at all. That's the hard truth. Because when we don't put in the work, there is no anything, right? And we know that from life, right? When we don't put in the work, there's nothing to receive. There's nothing there to put the work in anymore because we forgot about it. We let it go. And then if you're in the relationship right now and you find yourself, you guys are in a real tough spot. You've been neglecting each other. You haven't spoke each other's love language. You just don't know where you went wrong. Things got in the way, whatever, right? Like you're just disconnected. There's no intimacy. There's a lack of communication. It's just a difficult time in your relationship. Then you need to express to your spouse, your husband, that you really feel like it's like you guys have stopped pursuing each other. And don't put that on one person, right? Like things always go better. Even if you know in your head, you're like, oh, well, I put in my 100%, right? Like, no, like it's always we, because you guys are a team. If you're winning, he's losing. If he's winning, you're losing. You guys have to be winning together, losing together, right? Like, and then when you're losing together, sis, like, you guys don't just sit on the bench and watch like the rest of the married couples like just go at it and have successful marriages, and you're like, well, that was a nice run, we're out, right? No, like you get up and you figure out how to work it. You like get your elbows dirty. Like, I don't know, right? Like, you got to just put the work in and just get up and do something, because we only have this one life, this one opportunity, this one shot. And why just stick with a relationship that you're just like, meh, right? Like, not saying you need to go get another significant other, because like wherever you go, there you are, sis. Your problems are just going to follow you. It's just going to look like a different kind of problem with a different dude. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that don't wait till your house is on fire before you start to be like, oh crap, and call the fire department. You like, you're doing all the things to repair it. You're doing you're putting in all the work because, oh crap, right? Don't wait till the, oh crap. Before that, when you see the electrical wires sparking, right? And you're like, oh no, this ain't good, right? Like, that's when you need to take action. And that's when, and even not, right? Because like I said, what's the worst thing that can happen when you're investing in a marriage that's already good? It's going to get better. So when we're in hard seasons, we have to say, hey, I see you showing up and showing out because we don't want to lose this thing that we have. And I see that you're paying more attention to it because I've made you aware that this was lacking. But like, we can't stop here. If we want this to continue, because I'm having so much fun with you, I'm feeling so connected to you, I'm so happy, I've loved you now more than ever, I love you more than I ever have, we can't stop here. And I think those are what the things you need to say is, we can't stop here. I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop working. Let's do the hard things. Let's keep showing up the best we can, because this is great. This is getting better and better. Like, do you see what I see? It's getting better and better. Do you want this to continuously getting better? And then you have those conversations, and guess what? Like, hopefully you both decide, yes, this is worth it. We want to keep showing up and showing out. We're going to make mistakes, and that's okay, but we're going to keep showing up. We're going to keep sowing those seeds. So, sis, I want to tell you today, keep sowing those seeds. You will reap the benefits. Keep showing up and showing out. If it is a hard time expressed, you have to keep showing up and showing out. Something that I didn't know. I didn't learn this. But I'm telling you now, you won't regret the investment that you make in your marriage, because there's nothing more beautiful, nothing more beneficial than a marriage that is constantly and consistently really good. Like, really good. And you feel really good about it. And I want that for you. I want that for you so bad, because we've been on all parts of the map of this, okay? Like, we've had to put in the work. And now, even with date nights, I feel like it's an inconvenience sometimes. I let it go because I feel like, oh, we're doing good. Like, we just had a date night last week and, it was short, but it was good. And we had time away. And like, I don't really feel like putting on clothes or getting dressed again. Like, I don't look good in anything. And it's such a hassle to like go get my mom to come watch the kids or make dinner for the kids and then go out and get ready and yada, yada. And I have this and I have that. And we have that the next day. And we have to move around kids and move around calendars. Like, it's such a hassle. And we're doing fine. So like, we had a date night last week. Why do it again? But then I remember that it's those times that I skip the date night, then something happens the next week or the next week after and we can't date night, and then I'm really depleted. Like, because I'm like, oh man, I needed to have that date night in my reserves, so that way when I was just being put through the ringer with the kids or we're going through some sort of stupid argument with each other, that like I have that to lean back on, to fall back on. And it's when I don't, that I'm like, oh man, I miss that. We're not as connected. Because life and kids and stuff, it gets busy and it gets messy. And then when we just continuously input, like nothing but good comes from that, even if you feel like you already need it, right? It's like washing your hair, right? Like or taking a shower. We can't see that our body constantly needs a shower. We can't visibly see the dirt most of the time, right? But we feel better. We don't realize how dirty we were or how much of an impact a shower has on our body until we get out and we're like, this feels so good, right? I feel so much better. Even though you couldn't visibly see the dirt. We can't always visibly see the dirt in our marriage, but if we're always consistently showering it with good things, like, love and love languages and time and acts of service and all these things, then we're going to consistently have that good feeling of, oh, I didn't know I needed that, but this feels so good, right? So anyways, that is my reminder today because it's been on my mind. And, what good is the things that we know if we don't share with other people? Because maybe you didn't know. And maybe this was something you needed to hear today. Maybe this was something I needed to recite to myself to remind myself today. Like, we're all in this together. I want us to grow together and become the best version of ourselves that we just absolutely love and feel confident in, and we're thriving. I mean, there's a little bit of surviving here and there because kids, right? But we're mostly thriving. And so that is what I want for this community. And I love you guys. And if you haven't already, join the So She Girls Mom Tribe. Hop over there. Join us. Get in these conversations. And your girl is gonna open up some group coaching. I want a group of sisters who we can get on, and you guys want to become the best version, and we're just growing together, and it is infectious, and it is awesome, and it is all the things, right? I just want to be pouring into you guys as if we were besties and I knew you from day one, and I will be your ride or die, and I'm helping you to see what you can't see by yourself. And I love just vibing with a group of women who truly want to pour into themselves, and they want everything from them pouring into themselves to flow out into their family, their kids, their life and stuff. And that just feels so good. So keep an ear out because that's going to be coming out soon, where I am offering a group of women the opportunity to, invest in themselves, pour into yourselves with each other, with me, and let it be a journey that is worth remembering. So that is coming up soon. I'm super excited about it. Anyways, and then, so if you listen to this episode and you found it helpful, I hope that you share it with another friend. I hope that you share it with somebody who you feel may or may not can use this, because it takes a village, man. This journey is rough. The more and more I get to know other women, the more and more I learn that we cannot do this alone. And it is just murky, treacherous waters out here, okay? So share with a friend and then subscribe. And I hope to catch you next time. Bye, guys.